So I initially bought this frame to do a quick, cheap, fast build because I thought it was just a bare, all aluminum frame, but we may have a problem. But anyways, first things first is today we're gonna be fitting on those silver Rolf wheels, but we have to get them all prepped up and built and discovering what's underneath this paint that might change the whole build process as a whole. So let me know at the end which direction we should go. All right, this is the frame. Honestly, the pictures did not do it justice. It actually is in pretty good condition. I'm gonna go over it with a fine-tooth comb because there's some things on here. There's little chips here and there. Some of the clear coat's coming off. There's, like I said, chips in there. But honestly, a light polish, like the guy was suggesting that I got it from, I think it would really pop. So I'm kind of second guessing if I should strip it because it actually looks really good. I'm gonna put some stuff on it and I'm just gonna see how she turns out with little pieces that I have. A silver seat post I'll get with the silver stem. And let's just see what she looks like with the Rolf wheels and silver and everything. Just see what she's like. No hardware, no components, no nothing, but she's looking real good. Well, a couple chips here and there. And it's weird that it's black underneath. I was expecting to see more silver, but she looks good. Also, I did realize that this is a 1-inch steerer tube, which means the fork is carbon. And it's an aluminum steerer tube, so it's easier to clamp onto, which I actually prefer because I'm a pretty heavy dude. But since it's a 1-inch, I realized that he actually already gave me a shim to allow the more standard stems you can get nowadays. But I'm going to put an OG period correct 1-inch stem with bars just to kind of, here, actually, I'll just show you. Take this guy off. Oh, wait, I bolted it back together. But there's a little silver rim right there. That creates a little bit of space. That 1/8-inch piece of metal is what allow it to kind of came through so that you can pinch a bigger stem on it. But like I said, pictures did not do it justice. It actually looks really good. So let's see what she looks like with a couple pieces on it. All right, I'm in the squat rack. I have this one. Yes, it was cut down because reasons. But anyways, with the sizing, this would still work perfect. So I did have a carbon seat post on it. So I'm just gonna pop this on there and just to see what she feels like. And then, like I said, I will grab the silver, where'd it go? Right here. This guy. And then bolt it on there just to see what she looks like. And then I'll have a much clearer look to see if I should strip it or not. My only thing is I want to get new stickers on there that are also white because I feel like silver and white just gives it that like really clean, tight look. This, of course, will end up being black because once I strip this paint, it's carbon underneath. So you can actually see where there's that paint chip right there. That is carbon. And then especially up front here where they clasp the brakes onto, this is also carbon. I don't know what this guy is right here, but yeah. See what she looks like. I'm gonna put all these pieces on here real quick, just to get a look of what it's like. All right, now I had to prop it on there, so lighting isn't great, but do you see the vision now? The silver, 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 and I'm gonna change this. I kind of like it, but I feel it's like a little dull compared to everything else. And I'll probably change this to a 1x, so it's only 1 chain ring instead of having 2. It gives it a much cleaner look up front. I'll probably end up removing this guy too, just to give it a nice clean look. Ooh. Yeah, okay, all right, yep, I'm gonna strip it. Yeah, that looks so good. Also, funny enough, my skewers came in for the wheels, so got them right here. So might as well put them on here in a second, and well, for the reveal. So let's put the wheels together, put some rim tape on there, get some tires on there, and see what she looks like. All right, now the guy that I got the frame from, absolutely awesome dude. He actually gave me this set of Rolf wheels that it came with. Now this version right here has a little bit more spokes on it, so it's not as small spoked as the other one, and it's not as shiny, a little bit duller, which is okay. It just means that I'm gonna have to polish these and, you know, give it some new life. They're a little bit heavier compared to those guys. So you can even see a little bit more gray, silver. So, you know, I can't wait to polish these up and use these as a secondary set of wheels. I'll probably put some thicker tires on there, maybe for some slightly, you know, maybe rougher terrains, and those will be more of the race wheels. So that way they're like period correct. They're both Rolf wheels, and then I'll have an extra set of wheels to kind of play around with depending on the environment. But you can kind of see, but I'll get better pictures on here when I put everything together. But the other thing is, I have 2 new skewers coming in for the wheels. They are titanium and super lightweight because I feel like it matches the color scheme. I'm just gonna take these ones off of here for now. Oh, you know what? I'll just put the old ones on just so I can mount it on the bike so we can kind of see what we're looking at. All right, so the skewers that it came with is this Dura Ace one, which it's, you know, I mean, it's age appropriate, but there's no spring. So usually there's a spring in there so that, you know, this stays even between, so we can slide the fork in there pretty evenly. You can actually see it right here, right? That little spring right there, right? That way you can slide things in and they press against each other. You know, they're spaced out accordingly between both sides. Now, the black has got to go. It just doesn't fit the aesthetic of this bike. So I got these guys. So these are super lightweight, and this is an older bike with older wheels. So 100 millimeters for the front, 130 millimeters for the rear. And that's just the spacing difference so that they can actually fit the frame and the wheels. So pop these guys on there real quick, and we'll see what she looks like. Look at the difference between these two. Like, look at that. It's so small compared, but also like, it's crazy because this is so much heavier. I mean, it does show on there that it is titanium. So, I mean, you know, it's gonna, whoa, that focus was weird. All right, it's not gonna refocus. Well, that sucks, but, but it is titanium. So it is honestly a lot lighter. Cool, so we'll put it on. Wow, look at how clean that looks. No, I mean, it is a quick release technically, but difference is, you know, you use a little bolt, little hex bolt to tighten it. So I guess I'll just have to carry that in the pouch or with, I mean, I always have like a small set of Allen keys in case of emergencies, but look at how clean that looks compared to, you know, having that big old quick release on there. So, I mean, pretty big improvement there. That looks clean. All right, let's replace this one. From this to that is crazy. That looks so clean. I'm impressed. I like these. All right. Rim tape. So this one didn't have any, but you want rim tape on there because when you inflate a tube in here, you don't want it to inflate into that hole, get pinched, and then pop, especially at high speeds and at high pressures. So we want rim tape. What it does is it lays like a piece of cloth on top here so that it protects the tube from going into those holes. So I'll show you how to put that on here in a second. All right, so we're gonna prep the wheels to get set up. Only thing we're missing are skewers, but those, it came with some. They were mismatching, and I feel like my OCD just did not allow it. So I got some silver ones that are coming in tomorrow, and I'll show those. It's just a picture. Once we build out the bike, it'll be fine. But what we need to do first is we need to put some rim tape on here. So that's what this little guy is. What rim tape does is, this is gonna be a cloth one, so relatively lightweight. What it really does is it creates a top layer right here, because if you inflate the tubes, what they do is they'll go in here and they'll end up popping over time or immediately. So we have to make sure we put some type of protective layer. Now this one actually came with a hard plastic one. The only thing is it was shifting around a lot. You can actually see, like if I push it, it kind of shifts a lot, and it's a little bit worn, a little bit older. I'm sure it would have been fine, but at this point, I'm just gonna remove it. So just something in there. I can use a screwdriver. I use this from like a paint lid opener just to get it off the lip. And like I said, this one's a hard plastic, so it's a little bit heavier than the cloth one. So we can save a couple grams, you know what I'm saying? Not a weight weenie or anything, but weight is weight. Now this may provide like better puncture support, but like I said, with the age of it, I would rather just start fresh. Okay, that part there's done. Since I have it, this is the one from Amazon. It was like 15 bucks. So, and it comes with both, so you only need two. Oh, so you only need one for both. I do have a different outfit on. I had a cut because I realized I got the wrong size tape. I actually needed 16 millimeters to go inside. I had 22 millimeters, and that's just too wide, and it wouldn't actually fit inside these wheels because these wheels are a little bit older, and older wheels tend to be a little bit skinnier, which also means I'm limited on the tire size, not only because of the wheel, but because of the frame as well. We didn't have the frames to be built out to handle bigger, fatter tires, so the safest bet for this one is going to be tires like these ones. These are 700C by 25. So 25 millimeters wide, 700C is the diameter of the rim. So 25 is the width of the tire. I would have liked to get to about 28, but there's most likely going to be rubbing against the frame, and we don't want to damage the frame with the tire. So 25 is where we're at. Which is funny because back in the day, well, we had the whole thought process of, you know, skinnier is faster, skinnier is more aero. We found now that that's not necessarily the case anymore. We're actually able to go a little bit faster on tires that are a little bigger, mostly because of comfort. Since they absorb more shock and you're more comfortable on your ride, it's easier for you to ride. So what you do is you find where the stem would go for the valve, which for us is right in there. This little hole, oh, there it is. That little hole right there. And on this tape, there's also a little hole. So it's already pre-cut for you, which is nice. So that just means you just line it up and then you put the tape all the way through. You want to make sure that it doesn't get stuck on the sides because you still need the actual rims to catch onto the bead or the lip of the rim. There you go. These fit way better. 16 mil is perfect. Now once you set it in there, since it is, you know, a type of tape, it doesn't sit perfectly. You do have to run your finger around, across it once it's flat so that you can actually have the tape bind to the wheel. Because sometimes we'll put it on like this and then we'll place it, but then you'll have some spots that are high or low. So it's always good to just take a second and then rub your finger across it so that it actually sits in place accordingly. So I'm gonna go ahead and, actually you can see right in there, right? So there's that hole and there's the rim tape, because here is the silver part and then there's the tape. Remember, this is so that we have these little holes right here for the blades or the spokes, and you don't want the tube to inflate and go in there, because what happens, it'll pop because it'll touch the metal or it'll pinch. This helps protect your tubes so they don't, you know, blow out on you. But anyways, I'm gonna fast forward through this because this here just takes a hot second. All right, so the rim tape is on there. I'll come to here in a second. So there is a bit of overlap, which I would rather have more than not enough. So I'm gonna take a quick section on here, and then what I'm gonna take a razor blade and just cut it. This guy right here, I do want a hair bit of overlap, but I'm gonna try and keep it as tight as possible. So right about here. Lay her back in there. And she should fit just snugly. Ah, perfect. Right on that seam. All right, fully taped up. I'm gonna do the exact same thing to the other wheel, but just because, for the sake of this video, we're gonna move straight onto the tube. All right, we got a tube. Now this one is designed to fit onto this rim up to 25 millimeter tires, which is perfect because that's what we have. We have 20 millimeter tires. Now, I got extra long stems because I have some wheels that are deep dish and I'd rather not buy different ones. So for me, it's just easier. Now with the stem, you're gonna have this little cap up top. This is to make sure air comes in and out. I'm gonna keep it closed while we're actually installing it. There's two other things on here, which is the valve stem cover, this little black piece. We take this guy off. That just helps protect it a little bit, especially during debris and little rocks in here. I'd rather break the plastic than that valve stem. And there's also this little nut right here. This is to make sure it presses against the wheel once it's inserted, and I'll show you exactly what I mean by that. So I don't like dealing with a flimsy flat one like this. It doesn't fit right, so I always make sure we can open the tube itself. Give it a quick sec. I like to put a little bit of air in there. Oh, whoops, my valve stem isn't working. Should click in. If it doesn't, it means no air's getting it in. Let me check the second tube really quick. Check to see if I've got the same problem. Nope, this one was able to open no problem. So there's probably something up with this. I may just have to give it a little bit more love because wait, that stem was on top. You should be able to press it down. Once you unscrew it a little bit, this allows airs to come in and out. So, okay, I'm gonna close it. Right, just so it has a little bit of shape. We're gonna put it through this valve stem hole. Right through there. We're gonna kind of loosely fit it around the wheel. Now this is just to kind of make sure we figure out like a fitment for it, because what we're gonna do almost immediately is put the tire on it. But to make sure it stays in place, we're actually gonna screw that little nut in there. Now I'm not gonna super tighten it because we'll need to adjust that later once we're ready to inflate and have the tires fully in there. So I'm gonna leave it a little bit. This is just so it doesn't fly off during installation. I do wanna give us some play because we are gonna move it around. Now that I have it around the wheel, what we're gonna do, we're gonna take our brand new tire and install it. Okay, I realized I probably should record this part beforehand, but just so we can see what we're using, it's gonna be the Continental Ultra Sport, probably like the mid-range tire. So relatively good price, good performance, a little bit on the heavier side, but for the price, definitely worth it. Got the Velox rim tape. This one was 16 millimeters. Depending on your rim size, you might need bigger ones. You're gonna have to figure that out and do the math. And then some tire levers and just an X-Acto knife just to cut the excess tape off. Or take an old tire, I don't know, whatever you got laying around. As long as it fits your wheel and your frame, and mileage may vary depending on what you got. But I got brand new ones so that you guys can see what cost would look like if you guys got brand new ones. So now these wheels are directional, which means they're designed to go in a very specific direction. There's usually little arrows on the tire that tell you which way they're supposed to go. So I don't know if you guys can see this here, but it tells you right there. It says rotation and the arrow. It even tells you the max PSI and the bars and all that good stuff. So make sure you read your tires so you know which way they're going. Now, the cassette goes this way, so in order to go, it rotates this direction. So I can push that way. So that means when I do the rotation, it has to go that way. So now I know which way it goes. Okay. Now, this doesn't matter as much, but it's just good practice because the aesthetics are important, especially if you're building out a nicer bike, right? Wherever the logos are on the tire, you usually want to match that with wherever your valve stem is. One, it makes it easier to find when you need to inflate your tire or do anything. But also it looks weird when you have a stem right here, which, changes, your perspective of what you're looking at, and it's like offset. It just looks funky. I don't know, does it matter to you guys? Let me know in the comments. If you're new to biking, you're probably like, does it matter? Technically, no. Does it look better? Yes. So what we're gonna do is, like I said, we're gonna pull up the tube a little bit. And these are clincher tires. So there's a little lip on this guy that hooks into the rim. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna bead one side first, and then we're gonna have to pry it on to the other side. So we'll do one side first. And what we're gonna do is take out the tube now, lay it into the tire. That way we don't accidentally pinch the tube during install. Now, once we kind of got a good fitment in, we're actually gonna take out air out of the tube so we don't, well, exactly where it says, so we don't pinch it. All right, but this helps you get it into position where you need it. So let me get this in here. Let me adjust the tire. Ultra Sport, right in the middle. Okay, then there you go. Okay, then I'm gonna let the air out. Good, not a lot, but you know, just enough. Okay, now from here, the easiest way to do it is just work the tire around. That way you don't have that end spot where it feels like it's super stuck. Now, when you get a new tire though, they're brand new rubber, so it doesn't always mean it's gonna be able to just go over the lip very easily. You can see this part right here isn't going over the lip, right? So what you do is you have tire mounting tools like these guys. They're just tire levers. So we put one on this side, mount it here, and drive it up. And I'm gonna take the second one that it comes with and do the same thing on the other side. Keep a little bit of tension here so I can just work my way around the tire. There we go. Okay. Okay. And then I can do this side. There we go. One. Okay, and then this last little bit right here. Sometimes you can just work it on with your thumb. All right, there it is. Okay, one side is now beaded. Now we have the open side this way. And then we're gonna do the exact same thing. Get up. Bead the tire in there. So we're gonna push this tube up so it doesn't get stuck on the stem. And we don't want it to pinch. The same thing, we're gonna work our way around. Okay, one, whoops. Now, this is still really big in terms of a gap, too much of a gap. So usually what that means is you can sometimes just work the tire around, which just means you give it a little bit of love. Because sometimes when you seat it, it didn't have to be as tight in certain sections. So when you can work the tire a little bit, gives you a little bit more give so that you can kind of get past these stuck points. Yeah, like that. There you go. Okay, okay, and okay. All right, definitely a little bit more workable now. So now we'll use the tire levers. Now when it's this tight, when it's, you know, almost past the rim, gotta be careful because when you load up the tire leveler, you don't want to pinch the tube. So just be careful with that because then you have to do all this all over again. Okay, got one. There you go. And that was enough to actually get to the other side. Just got it fully over, and then we can work the tube around. That's it. So this wheel's ready to go. I'm gonna do the exact same thing to the other one, but you kind of got the gist. You do your rim tape, pop in your tube just to make sure everything's fitted right. Then you put in your tire, and you put the tube in the tire to help seat it. Seat one side first, flip it around, seat the other side, and use the tire levers when you need to, but be careful not to pinch the tube. There she is. Okay, like I said, we are doing the Continental tires, but my tire of choice are still the Vittoria's Rubino Pros, I think, for that price. These are kind of more like competitors against each other within this range. The Ultra Sport and the Rubino Pros. I prefer the feel of the Rubino Pros. There's a bit more of a plushness to it that I feel, but you know, I haven't tried the Continentals in a while, so I'm gonna give them another go and hopefully they ride well. So here is what we got so far. Yes, I am turning this sideways. Okay, it's just so I can mount it up on here, just because not enough room in the garage right now and need to clear some stuff up. But here she is in all her glory, and honestly, she looks really good. And so I had to put a bit of a pause on this. Like I said, I wanted to strip this down. Here's the thing though, I've been getting conflicting results on this. Not because of the paint or the stripping or anything. I still want to do that. But I've been telling everyone that the frame feels oddly light. I mean, oddly light. And I figured out later, like I already talked about, that this is a carbon fiber fork. Great, got that. But the back also felt light. The entire frame felt light. It felt like this guy light, which this is still heavier and it's a size smaller than this one. So this is a 52 centimeter frame, so it's physically less material, and it's designed for fixed gear riding, and it is heavier than this. And this is designed for road bike riding, and it's older, much older. So I was like, is this thing carbon? But I was like, that sounds like aluminum. And I would see little chips in the paint where I'm like, this is aluminum, right? But I'm also getting results and hearing that this may also be a carbon fiber frame, where they said that that top tube, that seat tube, and this rear seat stay are carbon fiber. So I can't just put paint stripper on it, because since so carbon fiber is laid on there, but it's used some type of epoxy to hold it into place. The only thing is, if you use paint stripper, it messes that up, and it can damage how well and how structurally sound the carbon fiber is held if you use a paint stripper, because like I said, it destroys the epoxy on there. But maybe I could use it here, here, and here for paint stripping, and be very, very careful here. But the only thing is, and this is where I'm saying I'm getting conflicting results, I'm probably just going to have to sand this section down by hand, because it all sounds like, because they're saying like, oh, they're smooth welds. I'm like, I mean, they're smooth-ish, but they're not like, you know what I'm saying? We can still see some beating a little bit, barely. But like here, hard to tell, right? But little bit of beating. So I still think this is aluminum. And also here, there is this nice chunky weld. And I'm getting conflicting results. If anyone knows about what year this LeMond Chambery is, and if it is the spine design where the powertrain part, tube, down tube, and here are aluminum so you can put power down, and the comfort side is carbon, then let me know, because I would hate to start stripping this down and this not end up being carbon fiber. But it's so hard to tell. And I see little bits of, you know, you can kind of see some shiny metal there, but it's so hard to tell. You know, see a little silver right there? And also this giant weld, I'm like, is this where the carbon tube is placed? And then that's where I'm lost. That's where I'm lost. If anyone knows, let me know, because now the whole sanding project has been placed on hold for a little bit. What do you think so far? Let me know.